today I'm going to talk about the process of writing an icon because it demonstrates principles about iconography. And to do this, I'm going to recruit John of Damascus here. This is a John of Damascus, you know, lived during the period of the iconoclastic controversies of the 6th, 7th centuries, and he wrote about icons. And I did this icon of John of Damascus. This is egg tempera, and I'll get into that in just a moment. Okay, a few things I'd like to say. You know, icons are not just decorative art. They are decorative, of course, but the importance of an icon is its function, which is to bring us into communion with the divine. And so everything that does that in an icon is doing its function, and everything that does that is not. And I think in a future session I'll make some comment about what's an icon and what and we can compare things, and we can look at the elements of what it takes to be an icon. Now, most of all, of course, icons are persons, and you can see here with Damascus that he is a person, and he has recognizable features. He has a cloth headdress, which makes him absolutely recognizable as John of Damascus. And what's interesting, too, about John of Damascus is he writes the first sticky of the first tone in Vespers. Now, you may not understand quite what that means. There are certain elements of the theology of the resurrection, because it's a Saturday night, that are described by John of Damascus. And in his writing here, he says, Isperinas, which is the first words of the first sticky of the first tone in Vespers. So it's very appropriate to use John of Damascus during Vespers. Okay, now an iconographer starts out the process in prayer and fasting. And it's very important because the difference between an artist and an iconographer is that an artist is a technician and does the art. And they can do very beautiful art, don't get me wrong. And they can probably do iconography very well too, because there is certain technical technique that you can learn or not learn. But this is a prayerful kind of process, and which means prayer, and there's usually the prayer before the gospel that the priest says is usually what they pray, but there are other prayers too that can be prayed before starting the process of writing an icon. The other thing is to write a candle and have some incense. This is very appropriate. And often they'll play music, chanting music, Byzantine chanting music in the background. Now, what's interesting about this icon is, and true of Byzantine icons, is that each icon has its own hypostases. They don't look all alike. The faces aren't all alike. There are things that are recognizable. So in order to do this icon, you have to have an idea of what the Damascus looks like. And the way to do it is to transfer an image from a known image of John of Damascus and put it onto the board. That means, as an iconographer, we're not inventing something. There's no invention here. It would be like consider a pianist playing Beethoven piano concerto, they have to play it precisely the way everybody understands it is to be played. It's not something that you can dream up there on the stage. For an iconographer, it's very important to have all the elements that the church sees here in the iconography. All the elements that says something about what it means to be a person, what it means to be whole and complete, and to be in union with God. Now, so with prayer, then you have your image that you wish to write, or in the case, paint or write, because in a way it's like writing the gospel, isn't it? When you write the icons, you're writing the theology of the church. You're putting it down in color and form. And it's very important to get that exacting. So, like in this case, this is a tracing from another, of an icon of John of Damascus. And you can make it bigger, and like this is a pretty big size. It comes from a smaller icon. Now, the first thing that happens when you do icons like this is you have to get a board, right? And this is a standard icon board, and you notice it has a border around the edge, and this is brown, and this is a symbol of the earth. And then it has an indentation where the image goes. And in that indentation, we place a cloth. And the cloth is there, it stabilizes the image, and that's its function. And symbolically, it could be like a shroud or something like that. When you look at the icons here at St. George, you look at the hierarchs or the Theotokos in the apse, or you look at the icon of the dome, those are done on canvas and applied to the wall. Just as this is a canvas or a cloth underneath, and then we gesso over, use gesso, which is a kind of chalky, white chalky substance that the paint can stick to, and we put that over the cloth. So that, and then it's sanded down very smoothly, so it's a complete white surface. And the same is true of these other icons on the wall. They are applied as a canvas, and then the final details of the persons, the saints, are then added. Okay, then the next part of the process is to transfer. So, okay, we've got the board, we've got the cloth, and we have the gesso. And the gesso is dried, several coats of it, and we apply the image to the white gesso. And so then it begins to take the shape of what it is: a person, a saint. Then we begin what's called the first layer, which is called proplasmos, and it is the first layer. And interesting is the first layer is the darkest layer. And from that first layer, we go second, third, fourth, fifth layer. We're building up color to lighter and lighter colors. So to write an icon, you go from darkness to light. Now remember, earlier we said that the glory of God is revealed in the dark cloud. Is revealed the light of God. On Mount Tabor or on Mount Sinai, there's a dark cloud that reveals the presence and the glory of God that comes forth from the dark cloud. And it's the same process here with the icon. Modern artistic techniques, they put white on dark, dark on white, they do this color, that color, anything that creates the impression that they want to create. In iconography, it's always dark to light, dark to light. And then at some particular point, you get the image, and then you as you're filling in the light color, you get draperies, and you can get effects on the face, and those kinds of things. Remember from previous discussion, in icons, the light from within is what illumines the person. It isn't like a beautiful Dutch painting in which you get a beam of light coming in from the left side of the painting and shines onto the objects in the room. an icon, it represents the spiritual life, which is from within us. The Holy Spirit shines forth from our bodies from within us. And that's true of the iconography here. And you can see that, like with John Damascus, he has highlights along the bones of his face and along his hands here. And in the draperies here, you can see the folds. As the fold comes out, it is almost like a bone in the body, and it contains light. And some of these are quite amazing, and we'll go over it a little bit more when we do some of the other iconography here. So then you get up closer and closer to the building up of lighter and lighter color. And then when you finish doing that is an outline, a darker outline, which will help define the various parts of the person here. So it makes them stand out a little bit, and it doesn't fade away. It emphasizes the person's features, hands, face, and those kinds of things. Notice that the colors, the light color also goes into his headdress here, so that you're drawn immediately to his face, because the prosopon, the face of the icon, is the most important part of the icon, because our experience of God is face to face. Our experience of God in the other person, who is created in the image of God, is face to face. And this is the most important part of it. Now, after all of this is said and done, then it's the gold leafing, which is applied around the edges. And I had a question about that from one of our parishioners here about gold leafing. Well, gold, you know, it was gold, frankincense, and myrrh that were given to the king, were given to Christ, and in Bethlehem, gold was considered a gift to the God, to the king. So the king exchanged gold with other kings, and people brought gold to the king to seek his favor. But at any rate, this gold also represents the aeonos, the forever world, the timeless world that is beyond our experience here in this world. And so this is part of it. We can go into that at another time. So then, at the end of all of this, you get real gold leaf like is here, and then you put the identity of the person, usually in Greek, but sometimes Greek English or Slavonic. They'll write on the side. So just in case you don't recognize the image, you can say, "Oh yes, this is John. This is John of Damascus." Okay. Now the next thing you do is you bring the icon to the church, and you have it rest here for 40 days. So that's 40 days in which we have liturgy, and into the inner chamber of the temple here, and it is an act of acceptance by the church of this piece. And this is true even if you buy ones in the bookstore. You bring them here and you have them be here for 40 days in the church, worshiping with the congregation, and this is an important part of our, what would you say? It's our honor to the image. You know, if you don't, that's okay too. But I mean, it's better. It's much better. Okay. Now, what I mentioned before too is the thing about icons that I think should be said here is you paint an icon, but there's one, but there's also the many. And the many is that this icon of John of Damascus fits in with all of the saints, all of the angels, all of Christ himself and the Theotokos, and is a part of the whole family of faith. And so we do have this at home as an individual icon, but we as individuals also are part of the household of faith. and so is this icon as part of the household of faith. So I hope this helps you a little bit. In the handout and that I sent many of you, most of you, and you will find 2 resources that if you want to really study icons, there are resources out there. And one is Deb Corluca here in the Twin Cities. She does go to the Antiochian Church, and she runs icon classes. And so if you want to just at the very beginning start, this is a great place to go. The second resource is the House Studies program run by the Antiochians, and it is a 3-year program in which you're reading theology, writing papers, and you're doing drawings, projects to do. And there's a residency of 1 week for 3 years in this program. Certificate in iconology is something that I did, and that's where I get a lot of understanding of icons comes from. So I hope anyway this helps you, and let me know, spread the word, pass on the emails to other people you think might be interested in Vespers and worshiping with us, and learning or discussing or hearing a presentation about various aspects of worship. So have a good evening, everybody. Take care.